If you've ever stood at the end of a lead rope trying to figure out why your horse just did what it did, you already know how easy it is to reach for the wrong word, an emotional word, a label that doesn't actually tell you anything useful, and it's a negative word. So what if instead you had a language, a precise language, that told you exactly what's going on in your horse's mind, what caused the behaviour, and exactly what to do about it to improve that behaviour to more of what you want?
Hi, I'm Tony Lander, and I want to talk about Equisit Horse Traits and how this can help you with the behaviour of your horse. So Pat Pirelli used to start every demonstration with, raise your hand if you can read a horse. This is what every horse person needs to be able to do, though usually horse people are generally illiterate when it comes to reading their horses. Have you ever said out loud to your horse, why the hell are you doing that? I do not understand. Can't you tell it's just a plastic bag? If you've ever stood at the end of a lead rope trying to figure out why your horse just did what it did, you already know how easy it is to reach for the wrong word, an emotional word, a label that doesn't actually tell you anything useful, and it's a negative word. So what if instead you had a language, a precise language, that told you exactly what's going on in your horse's mind, what caused the behaviour, and exactly what to do about it to improve that behaviour to more of what you want? The fact is that your horse's behaviour is caused by one or more of the four following factors. One is their DNA, their spirit, their internal wiring. Two, their learned behaviour, usually from past dealings with humans. And three, their environment, what is going on around them and where they are. And four, their human on the end of the lead rope or in the saddle. We can't do a lot to change their DNA or their past experiences. However, their environment is generally or mostly in our control, and the human on the end of the lead rope is definitely in our control and the most accessible for us to change, if we're open to it. The first thing as a human with a horse is for us to learn how to read our horse's behaviour and understand how to modify it to more of what we want. And that's exactly what the Equisit Horse Traits give you. Let's break them down. The Equisit Horse Traits are a set of adjectives. They're specific, standardised words that actually describe your horse's mental and emotional state and the physical behaviour that state produces. So instead of every rider inventing their own emotional and sometimes unfair descriptions of a horse, like he's stubborn or she's crazy or he's lazy, horse traits give every Equisit student the same language, a language within a precise definition behind every word. Here's the key idea. Every horse trait sits on a spectrum. On one end, a horse is more expressive, showing more body language, more movement than the energy that you applied actually asked for. On the other end, the horse is less expressive. They're going kind of internal, they're moving less than requested, and sometimes looking like slow motion, even stopping. And in the middle, centered, is the behavior you're actually looking for. And here's what makes it so useful. Your horse is not a fixed type or personality. A horse can be centered in one moment, then panicky in the next, depending on the trait, the situation, even the minute. So instead of labeling your horse, you learn to read your horse, moment by moment, trait by trait. So every horse trait comes with a trait modifier. That's a specific strategy or a set of strategies designed to help your horse move from less or more back toward the center. And underneath the trait modifier is something even more precise. We call them the energy streams and energy applications. What we call, for short, energy apps. These tell you exactly which energy to use, how to apply it, how long to hold it, and what to do if nothing changes yet. Put these three pieces together, the trait, the modifier, and the energy app, and you have a complete diagnostic and coaching tool. You're not guessing. You're not getting frustrated. You're reading your horse's behaviour, identifying which trait shows up, and applying a specific tested strategy to help your horse find the centre. Now this all changes three things for you as a rider or a handler. First, it removes the emotion. Instead of getting angry at a disrespectful horse, you can say, my horse is showing pushy, and immediately know that's a trait with a specific modifier and a specific energy app called +1. Second, it gives you a plan. You're never standing there wondering what to do next. Every trait has a pathway back to centered. And third, it protects the partnership. In Equisit Way of Life, we say, without connection, the communication fractures. And without the communication, collection cannot emerge, not in the way you want it. So reading your horse's traits accurately is what lets you stay connected instead of pushing, pulling, or forcing, or making. One more important note, developing your horse's traits and developing your own people traits go hand in hand. You are the thinking, reasoning half of this partnership. So as you work on your horse's horse traits, what we ask is that you also be working on your own person traits at the same time. Let's walk through the traits row by row. Now each row gives you a less expressive trait on one end, a centered trait in the middle, and a more expressive trait on the other end. And the first 5 rows are what we termed away traits, but they describe how your horse handles energy or challenges, and it's moving away from that energy. Row 1 is courageous. Less expressive is apprehensive. Centered is courageous. More expressive is panicky. This is a fundamental trait as it's needed for everything else the horse person wants to do with the horse. Row 2 is compliant. Less expressive is non-compliant. Centered is compliant. More expressive is pushy. Now this is absolutely mandatory for safety and control. Safety for yourself, for others, other horses, and for your own horse, and control to allow that safety. Row 3 is calm. Less expressive is tense. Centered is calm. More expressive is agitated. Life is so much more enjoyable when your horse is calm when requested to move. Row 4, attentive. Less expressive, sidetracked. Centered, attentive. More expressive, distracted. We all know what it feels like when a horse is distracted by external things, and also how frustrating it can be when your horse is shut down and gone internal. Row 5, maintaining. The less expressive is underdoing. The centered is maintaining, and the more expressive is overdoing. What a blessing to have a horse that can maintain the gait and direction without the micromanaging. Now these first 5 rows are considered foundational for safety, control, and pleasant handling. A horse should be reasonably centered through at least these 5 before you ask for much more. Then there's a second group, the towards traits, and these are from sensitive through to spirited. They describe how your horse engages once you're asking for more and hopefully asking with less. So sensitive, less expressive is highly tolerant, centered is sensitive, and more expressive is hypersensitive. Willing, less expressive is resistant, more expressive assuming. And perpetual, maintaining the gait and the rhythm. Less expressive is slowing, and more expressive is speeding. And then spirited, the top row. The less expressive is low-spirited, and the more expressive is high-spirited. And that's the full map. So let's get down and go deep into the first 5 rows, because these are the ones you'll use every single day with your horse. Firstly, courageous, centered. This is a horse who handles friendly energy, external stimuli, or apparent danger by listening, looking, and feeling. If standing still, it stays still. If it's moving, it continues to move. And if it's asked to meet a challenge, it does so without hesitation, and its body posture stays neutral and relaxed with no excessive muscle tightness. On the less expressive end is apprehensive. Your horse may look at the scary thing or even pretend it's not there. They even look away. You'll see the head lift a little, the muscles contract, the eyes open wide, the horse slow down or turn its head away. It might even freeze and the muscles go completely tight and breathing is shallow. But on the more expressive side, panicky, your horse actually wants to escape the scary situation. It moves its feet, changes directions. It could even run away, snorting or squealing or bucking or striking, kicking. And the trait modifier for apprehensive and panicky, the strategies center around our approach and retreat, giving your horse time to repeat the controlled exposure it needs to build that tolerance, rather than flooding it or pressuring or forcing it to get over with fear. Our energy app, this uses the energy app approach and retreat, or another energy app of constant. The body energy is relaxed with the support energy of friendly energy and rhythmic motion. With approach and retreat, you bring the energy in, then retreat it. You vary the intensity, the distance, and building your horse's tolerance to the friendly energy over time. With constant, you hold consistent energy, not a retreat, until your horse relaxes, using whichever sense is relevant. Could be auditory, olfactory, visual, kinesthetic, or taste. Now the centered trait of compliant. This means your horse moves or stands still when asked with a neutral body posture. It's shifting its body in the direction of your energy flow. And to keep your horse moving, your body energy and your support energy are applied consistently, increasing in your phases, and your horse moves more. On the less expressive side is non-compliant. Your horse may consciously not move when requested. Whether it's moving or still, it may lean against the direction of your energy or press into your personal space uninvited. Maybe by leaning, maybe by shifting just one hoof. You might see negative body posture like ears back, teeth showing, tail swishing. But on the more expressive side, the pushy side, your horse actively pushes its body and feet against the direction of energy, often into your personal space with real awareness of what it's doing. You might see the ears back and the head high, teeth showing, tail swishing, stamping, kicking, rearing or bucking. Now the trait modifier for both non-compliant and pushy, the aim is the same. Your horse needs to stop leaning or pushing and then move in the direction of the energy is actually requesting, not just move in any other direction. The energy app, we call it +1. That is, you meet your horse's leaning or pushing energy and you add one phase on top, continuing to increase the phases until your horse moves in the requested direction and continue until you see a real change in attitude shown by a change in body posture. If your horse is pushing on the halter and the push is forward, you can also use the one rein technique to slow the forward movement or bump the halter with rhythmic energy using the rope. If the push is sideways, you can bump the halter with rhythmic energy in the opposite direction to the push. The moment your horse reorganizes, stops leaning, stops pushing, returns to compliant, you remove the +1 immediately. So now the trait of calm, which is a centered trait. Your horse accepts the request for change energy, the application of that, and responds in a relaxed, appropriate manner with appropriate muscle tonality. On the less expressive side is tense. Your horse actually responds to the request for change by doing less than asked because its muscles go a little more tense, a little tight and somewhat immobile. If it's already standing, it won't move its feet at all. And if it's moving, it'll slow down. Maybe it'll stop. Watch for the tight nostrils, the lemon lips, a raised head and neck, a stiff hollow back, stiff moving legs, and a tail sometimes held in a J shape. On the more expressive side is agitated. Your horse reacts by moving its feet more than requested. It's still contracting its muscles. It's going stiff through the neck and the legs and the back and moving in a mostly uncontrolled manner. It might stop taking care of its own body or its hooves and may not be processing logically, which is why an agitated horse can run over or through objects or people or other horses. Like every trait, calm needs to development over time, which means you'll deliberately use more energy than the situation strictly requires when testing this trait, or you're building the depth of the trait and the breadth of the trait into the horse's calm. That way, if a big energy is ever needed, for example for safety, your horse has the emotional capacity to stay calm through it. Now the energy app will be the requester, the body energy of move it or magnet, the support energy at whatever phase is needed to get the movement. Now on to the attentive trait, the centered trait of attentive. Your horse looks and listens to you. It goes to, then looks at, maybe sniffs or mouths and objects as you direct. It's willing to give attention to something scary, even move toward it and investigate it if you ask. But on the less expressive side is sidetracked. Whether they're standing, being asked to move, or already moving, your horse seems to ignore you. Not because it's looking somewhere else, but because it's internal. It's distracted internally, thinking about its own plans. It may be shut down, especially after movement stops. The eyes might be half closed, not blinking. The jaw and the nostrils can be tight. The ears can tight. The head lowered. The legs set awkwardly. When it's preparing to come back, you'll see it reset its feet. It might lick, it might shake its head, it might open its eyes fully. And on the more expressive side, that's distracted. The same outward appearance of ignoring you, but this time, because your horse is looking around intently at many things, sometimes staring hard at one object in the distance. Often it's other horses or herd members pulling the attention away. Now the trait modifier for sidetracked and the strategy is energy app, look at me. Moving zones mostly with rhythmic energy to gain attention. You may send energy to zone 4, so zone 1 turns to look at you, or then relax so your horse reads you as comfort, repeating until attentiveness builds. If your horse shuts down after stopping, give it all the time it needs to process internally. Let it come back in its own time. That patience pays off because your horse will come back sooner and sooner as this develops. Now for distracted, the strategy is energy app of hello. The aim is to get your horse to notice you and become interested in following your energy. You'll likely need to touch your horse, maybe with a rope or a string or your hand, to break the state of that distraction. Start at a low phase and increase reasonably quickly so your horse feels the rising energy and turns to you. Watch closely here, because many horses shift from distracted into agitated. So you need to be ready to tell the difference and adjust your response. So the fifth trait on the rose is maintaining, and the centered trait, of course, is maintaining. Your horse maintains the requested direction and gait. And we use a body energy of movement or magnet, and moving with the go with once they're going, with support energy only used to get the movement started, then released. On the less expressive side, underdoing. Your horse does less than requested by dropping down a gait, or it may slowly change that direction on its own. On the more expressive, overdoing. Your horse does more than requested, changing up a gait or quickly changing directions without being asked. The energy app is requester, the body energy is move it or magnet, and the support energy at phase 1. Use just enough to get and sustain movement your horse is meant to maintain, then eased off once your horse is holding it. So that's the first 5 rows of the Equisit Horse Traits. Again, courageous, compliant, calm, attentive, and maintaining. And these first 5 rows are your foundation. You get your horse reasonably centered through these, and you've built a safe, controlled, and a great connection where everything else in Equisit way of life is built. Remember, these traits aren't labels. They're a moment-by-moment reading of your horse's mental and emotional states from the behaviour, and every single one comes with a clear pathway back to the centre. If you want to go deeper, you could download the PDF of the Equisit Horse Traits and start reading your horse in a non-judgmental way and a highly effective way. From there, you can modify your horse's behaviour to more of what you want. Until then, go watch your horse. Have a look what traits are showing up. Use your sheet and look at the behaviours and work it out. And start speaking the same language that your horse will truly understand when you communicate.